I'm really hoping that the whole meme coin trend dies down a bit.
What's your main thoughts about the future of cryptocurrency?
There's AI projects that are tokenized out there. You can be a part of it, and you're actually being a part of it because you are ultimately funding those projects. I still think we need to be a lot more careful about how we use meme coins. But I see the yin and the yang, and for every person that's making money, there's someone losing. There's a lot of things happening in the industry that I just don't want to put my name to. So I think gaming is such a big portal into Web3, and I think really pushing on the gaming side of things will be really big. I'm not sure what's going to be happening next year. Obviously, Donald Trump being actually in office, I think will have a big impact of what he also suggests and how America adopts more crypto. I think we did all predict that we would hit 100K by the end of the year. I think that was the general, I was hearing it everywhere. This is the industry, this is the future. The future is super bright. The future involves...
Greetings everyone, I'm your host, Kirill Ivanov. Today I have a special guest, Lilly Douse. We'll dive into world of cryptocurrency and discuss all exciting aspects in this market. Lilly, it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Could you start by introducing yourself and sharing us your experience?
Yeah, so I am Lilly Douse. I am a MC, entrepreneur, and just general person that talks lots in the crypto industry. Yeah, I would like to see myself more as like a voice behind the industry, a face behind the industry, someone that's really interactive with everything which is going on.
Okay.
For me, it's really important to be on the ground, traveling a lot, seeing what's happening across different jurisdictions, and giving my really honest opinion on things as well. I mean, I'm not tied to working for a company. I work for myself, so I can be very independent with how I view the industry. And yeah, I think that's a really key thing of what I do, is making sure that I'm very honest, very open to how I feel about the industry. We have to remember, some people are getting paid to say stuff, and some people just generally enjoy the industry and are saying it out of the goodness of what they actually believe. So I do think I take that stance where I'm very open and I really want to push the industry in the right way.
Okay, it's interesting. So let's start. How did you start your journey in crypto?
Okay, so I have a chemistry degree, and I couldn't...
It's really so far.
Very, very different. And I realized I could not stand still, sit still. Like, the whole idea of just being in labs was not great for me. It definitely helped me to secure a very analytical mindset, to question a lot of things. Then I went and worked in corporate finance. So I worked in finance in the City of London, due diligence, 9 to 7, boring job. It wasn't for me. Like, for me, again,
I fully understand you.
Yeah, sitting in an office. And again, I questioned. I was like, hold on, none of this really, to me, makes sense why we do it these ways. Like, there's so many things that's failing. And it's not just the companies that are failing, it's the system that's failing these companies as well. So especially when you're seeing companies that are going through difficult times, and they're maybe going into liquidations, and they're applying for bank loans, and you're just thinking, it's actually not helping you. You're just getting more and more in debt. And as a business, it's really not actually having any benefit to you. How we do things is so corrupt in ways, even in the Western world, which is seen as this idyllic way. It's made to suit certain people, certain individuals, certain companies. I mean, the bank structure it so that it's beneficial to them. Of course they're going to do that, because that's their main interest, is making sure their shareholders benefit. And I think that's kind of what led me into crypto, was the fact that it was an answer for me. It was something different that people were trying to do. I appreciate how much currency was becoming digital anyway. When you look at your bank account, wherever it is you hold a bank account, if you do hold a centralized bank account, you don't have any idea where that money actually sits. You have you can't even comprehend what's going on in the background.
And how long are you in the crypto market?
So I've been personally investing now for 5 years, but as a presenter, MC, it's been 4 years now, which doesn't seem long, but in the world of crypto, I kind of feel like it is quite a while. And when I was joining the industry, I mean, it's not like times now where everyone was super excited. I did get a lot of people thinking, what are you doing? Like, you come from a finance background, you have a very analytical mindset. Why are you going into this industry, which everyone would throw these keywords like, it's a scam, it's an awful industry, why would you want to do this? But I really believed in what was going on and what I saw being the future. And I think that really helped me to think this is the industry I want to be in. I don't mind if things aren't always going to be perfect. I know it's going to be a bumpy road, but I mean, gosh, now everyone's kind of like, wow, it was a great idea that you actually just specialized in crypto and blockchain. I'm like, yeah, tell me about it.
You mentioned a lot of interesting aspects in crypto, but what was main reason why you decided to move into the crypto?
I guess for me, it was mainly the monetary side of things. So the idea of decentralization, people having power over their finances, over what they're investing in. Because, I really do worry about the system and how really you never ultimately own anything. And I do think people need to be more aware of that, and that there is this alternative which gives you that ability to actually have custody over your finances. You have pure control over what you're doing. Yes, does that mean there's way more risk and it's harder to do? Yeah, of course.
But it's more potential in the same time.
So much more potential, and the technology as well. Like, I really find it fascinating what people are trying to do and what they've achieved so far and what's to come. It excites me, and I think that is probably the best thing about working in this industry is you never know what's coming next.
Like your work is mostly like be host, or you do also trade or investing in crypto?
So I guess my work started off, I started doing interviews, then because I wanted to learn and I thought the best way to learn is to ask people questions. And then I started working on stage and so like hosting the conferences. And when I say that, I think people just think I just read out names and have a script. But actually, I think the reason I get booked is because I don't do that. Like, I don't have a script really. I talk from my perspective. I listen to every speaker. I try and summarize what they were discussing. I'll maybe give a bit of an input if I agree with what they were saying. I mean, of course, I'll never, these are our amazing speakers, but it's always still good to shine a light on what they were saying. So I really pushed for being a bit different as well in my approach to hosting these conferences, because people are at these conferences from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. They need a bit of excitement. They want to be taken on a journey. They want to learn things. They want to realize how open the industry is as well. Like, I have to remind people, you're not going to understand everything which is going on the stage. It's impossible, because we're going to cover maybe 6 or 7 different tracks, which is different parts of the blockchain. So that's my on stage stuff. And then I also help companies as an advisor as well. So if they're looking to come to market and they need some advice on about how to do that, or even just some ideas from what I've learned being in the industry and meeting all these founders, because I'm always meeting like CEOs and amazing people in the space. So absorbing their knowledge and maybe giving it back to people that are starting their businesses. I do lots of video content for people as well. So I'd go out and do interviews at different events. I do interviews in studios for people. I do video content explaining what their product is or what's happening in the space and why what they're doing is relevant. So I try and keep it on that level. I always say I'm not a KOL, nor is that my intention to be a KOL.
You can be good at KOL.
But for me, it's not about plugging projects.
It's a little bit different.
I see it very long term, and I don't want to back anything I don't believe in. So yes, if it's a product and I think it's useful, I don't know, like a ledger. Like, I think people should understand what ledgers are, why they're important to have cold wallets, and I think that part of the industry is important, and self-custody. I then don't mind talking about that product, but because it's not going to be a waste of money. People aren't losing money. If they buy one, they get to keep it and they can use it. Whereas for me, there's a lot of things happening in the industry that I just don't want to put my name to. And that doesn't mean that I don't think there's amazing things coming out, but you just have to be a bit more cautious. Unless I think it's something groundbreaking and it has amazing utility and I see it being around for 10, 20 years, I just think you have to be a little bit more careful because we're talking about finance ultimately. It's just people's money that you are playing with. It's a very tight line you walk. And I think more people need to be conscious that it's a very important part of people's lives. Like you're not just like when we see the difference of KOLs and influencers, like if you're an influencer and you're selling beauty products, again, that person's buying a product.
Do you find influencers and KOL is different?
I really do, because I think our industry, what you're ultimately dealing with is something slightly different. It's a different beast. Like as I say, like, yeah, makeup influencer, you're just getting someone to buy some mascara or foundation, and they're getting a benefit out of it. They're getting a product. When we're talking about crypto, if you're plugging something like a meme coin and people are investing money into it,
yeah, it's definitely can be risky to promote these projects.
Way more risky. And I do think, of course, like KOLs have their position, they have their job. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing, but we have to also kind of realize that it is a risky business, and we shouldn't even feel like people need to become KOLs in the space. Actually, just having your own opinion and not pushing projects should also be celebrated, because, okay, yeah, as the KOL, will you benefit more financially? Of course you will. But in the long term, is it really what you see yourself doing? No. So I think you need to find a good position in the industry that doesn't just push things too much.
Could you define how crypto field is evolving?
It's evolved so much. I mean, I remember the days when I was working at conferences and they were literally having to give away tickets and get like vans to bring people to the conferences just to like hit the numbers and say, oh, we got 3,000 people. And I'm thinking, none of these people have any interest in the industry. No one's even really investing. Like there was no one really of substance sometimes coming. And now you're selling out 5,000, 10,000. These conferences are so many people and just incredible minds coming together. And what people are pushing for is just insane. It blows my mind. The collaborations that we're seeing, the amount of companies that are realizing we're better off coming together and achieving things together. So I think we're seeing some really impactful progressions in terms of collaborations.
Yeah, in same time there are two sides of crypto market. It's cryptocurrency where people come to like make money on trading or investment, and second side is blockchain technology where people go to create some really innovations, do projects.
Yeah, that's really what I kind of am hoping, that with my help and the help of lots of people out there, we can shift the narrative a little bit to, of course, I'm very much pro crypto in terms of Bitcoin and the monetary side of things, but I do think we need this push as well into the technology, into Web3, because there's so much that can be done in that part of the space, but we're not really tapping into it. Of course, most people in the world see money.
Yeah,
like they think,
exactly.
Wow, I can make returns. They're not really caring about the end game. Like we're not thinking about where do we want the world to be? How can we make the world a better place with technology?
Exactly.
All of that sounds lovely, but if people aren't getting the returns, they're not investing. So I think it's kind of how do we adjust that narrative? And I do have discussions with people in the industry because some people love meme coins and they really are very pro that part of the industry. But for me, that is pivoting even further from actually achieving stuff with technology, and I really don't want that to get left behind.
Do you find meme coins as a gambling?
I personally don't see many benefits. I understand community and how important that is within the industry, but I don't see utility. And well, there isn't. Ultimately, the idea behind it is a lack of utility. And yeah, in some ways it concerns me because there's certain things happening with the meme coins, and I've seen this thing like guys saying that I'm gonna drink my own urine if my coin goes to like 1 billion market cap, and I just sit there and think,
what's happening?
Yeah, exactly. You just
what's fucking going on?
Yeah, like I didn't work this hard. I didn't like establish myself in this industry for stuff like that to come along, and it almost mocks the industry. And I can't get on board with it. I know people will say, yeah, meme coins are wonderful. I'm making all this money. Just get on board. Just make your money and get out. But I see the yin and the yang, and for every person that's making money, there's someone losing. That's
exactly.
Ultimately the world that we live in. So I still think we need to be a lot more careful about how we use meme coins. I'm not completely against them. And if it brings people into the industry and if it is funny and it's actually topical, But it's things like that I just think, I'm sorry, but I can't get on board with that. Like, that's just, it's going against humanity. Like, that's just, it's not nice. Why would you want to create this almost like cult culture behind the industry? And I don't like that idea. I don't want it to become cult. I don't want it to become this, that's not what it's about. It's not about someone drinking their own piss. Like, that needs to go.
But what's your main thoughts about future of cryptocurrency? What's the major trends do you see?
I think we did all predict that we would hit 100K by the end of the year. I think that was the general, I was hearing it everywhere. It was my predictions from probably February. I was saying this, and I was kind of discussing, you get the summer, which it all goes a bit more quiet. I always joke around that all of the crypto people are spending their money in Mykonos and Ibiza. Okay. So over the summer, it all goes a bit quiet. And then you see this autumn always is an amazing time in the industry, depending on cycles. But usually it's a good time. And I was predicting 100K. If we hit it, fantastic. It'd be great to get another all-time high. And that was kind of what most people were saying in the industry as well. I think not many people are sure what is to come next, because hitting an all-time high, are we going to go straight into a bull market?
Right.
I can see it happening. I'm not sure if it will start straight away in 2025 or if we're going to see a little bit of a lag period. Again, I hate to say it, but I feel like Christmas and New Year's, the market's become a bit stagnant again, or it kind of is the case. And as we're becoming slightly more institutionalized, because there's so many institutions involved.
Interesting thoughts. Okay.
I'm not sure what's going to be happening next year. Obviously, Donald Trump coming into being actually in office, I think will have a big impact of what he also suggests and how America adopts more crypto. I'm really hoping that the whole meme coin trend dies down a bit. I'm really hoping, like literally praying. Just a push for overall utility. So like we start executing on the things that we've been promising. Like Bitcoin, we've been saying it's going to be like a international currency, this digital gold. We need to start being able to use it. And so I'm really, really hoping that maybe this cycle will be that catalyst for people to say, hey, we're starting to accept Bitcoin. You can use it in your shops. You can use it on apps. You can use it. I think that's really what we're going to need. And off-ramping as well. I think if we can start seeing that you can on-ramp and easily off-ramp, because people, I mean, I get paid a lot in crypto now, and it's wonderful. I love getting paid in crypto, but the off-ramping side of things is sometimes...
Especially if it's in stable coins, not in meme coins.
Yeah. But still, like that process, you've got to go to someone, find a way to... It's just not... It's not easy enough. Like if I want to get paid in crypto, which I'm more than happy to get paid in crypto, I will happily invest back into the industry. I just want to start being able to live my daily life utilizing crypto, because if not, then I need to cash out into fiat. It's a whole annoying thing that I just don't want to need to do. I really want to start seeing this digital gold element.
Exactly.
The development of more of these gaming projects. I think gaming is such a big portal into Web3, and I think really pushing on the gaming side of things will be really big. I just want to see some like actual results.
What's the advices you can give people who want to invest in crypto? It's late or...
I don't think you're late. I think you need to understand what you're investing in. I think it's a real... a hard thing when you discover crypto and you think you understand it and you really don't. So you need to realize, one, don't invest anything you don't want to lose. That's a really key part. And I know everyone says it, but you do need to be careful, because you don't want to, you need to be able to pay bills, and you need to realize, how difficult it is to off ramp as well. Correct. And I say difficult, it's not a 1-2 second thing. It's a process. So if you're putting money into crypto and you're putting loads of your money, and then you're thinking it's going to be easy to get my money back so then I can pay you for something at the end of the month, don't do it like that. Like, have the money that you're putting in there, whatever it is, on a monthly basis, you're putting a bit into your account and you're using that to trade. Listen to people, but don't listen to people. And I say that as in listen to the right people. Don't listen to the wrong people. Understand, is that person benefiting from what they're pushing? And most of the time, most people will talk about things that's benefiting them, but are they doing it for a good reason, or are they doing it just because they're getting paid? So you really understanding like why is this person pushing this? Is it actually a good investment? Do I believe in what that token is doing? If you are investing in something other than some of the more known coins, you need to really understand, is it in, seed? What phase is it in as well? Is it a good time to get in? Should you just chuck a bit of money in and see how it goes? So it's really having a strategy, having a trading strategy. One of the strategies I like to have is investing sometimes, especially if it is memes. If you want to invest in memes, if you make profit, get out quickly and put it into Bitcoin. That's my main strategy. Or if anything that I'm investing in, if I make the profits I want to make and I have a limit, I'm like, that's what I really ultimately wanted to make, then I make sure I take my profits. And if you want to leave a bit in, leave it in, but then I just put it back into Bitcoin. So my kind of flow is always back into Bitcoin, because I know in my head that is always going to be quite a good source to have it in. Not saying it's not volatile, it can go up, but I like to put my money back into Bitcoin. So I take my profits.
Conservative approach.
Yeah, I like to take my profits out. And as I say, I have my boundaries, but also if something I notice is completely plummeting, have that point where you can take it out. Don't get too emotional. Don't think, oh yeah, tomorrow that might go back up. If you're panicking about the number it's hitting, just get out, get your loss. If you're worried about it, if you're sat there worrying about it, then you might need to get out of it. I haven't exited too much because I haven't needed some of the capital. So I just leave it in. Like XRP, I had some money in it, not much. Okay. Had a great month on XRP. So it was great that I didn't panic at any point and I left it in. But you've got to realize that it could be a while before that goes back up. Or for meme coins, it might never come up. So just really don't get too emotional and really think does this have a community behind it? Does it have a reason to keep it? Like XRP, I was like, I might as well keep it. There's no point of getting rid of it. It's nice to be invested, nice to be diversified. I'll keep it. But some crazy meme coin that there's nothing that I really think is going to make it go back up. Make sure you get out if you see things dropping.
Yeah, in my opinion, we should consider meme coins like entertainment just for get fun.
Yeah, but if you start panicking, get out. It's not worth the stress and it's probably not going back up again. It could. But if you don't want to lose the amount of money it's dropping by, then you might want to just,
What do you think was the top 3 influential people in the crypto industry?
I think you've got to listen to founders. And especially when they're not talking about their own project. Of course, they're going to push their own project.
Yeah, definitely we should listen to founders.
Founders. But in terms of influential people in the space, it's very difficult because...
Your ranking. Rating.
It is a challenge. I think I look at who's ultimately been super successful outside of the industry. So there's some people that I know that have created their own businesses from the money that they've made, and they're no longer considered KOLs. They've actually created things, and I have a lot of respect for that, because if you have pushed some tokens along the way, but you've actually made that money and put it back in and created a gaming studio or done something that means you no longer have to do as much influencer style stuff, I have a lot more respect for that. So I do kind of listen to the guys that have really done well in the industry. Anyone that's showing off driving around in Lamborghinis and showing their lifestyle too much,
it's a little different.
I'm not sure as much then if I trust what you're trying to say. And that's not saying that I live a great lifestyle, but if you need to capture that and use that as your selling point for why you're successful, in my mind, that's not as much success as someone that's utilized the money in the right way and actually built something. But I get to listen. So I would say, okay, the top 3 speakers that I really enjoy listening to on stage is Pascal from Ledger. Amazing person to listen to. One, because he's not going to sit there and just talk about Ledger all the time. He's actually going to give you really good insights on the industry. So I absolutely adore listening to him. Being the host of the Bitcoin conference, I love listening to some of the Bitcoin maxis as well. We get quite a lot of them. I really like Elizabeth Stark, actually. She is Lightning Network. Amazing lady to listen to. Really enjoyed listening to her on stage. I loved looking on X and seeing what Elon's messaging as well. And I'm not saying I listened to him, dare I say, but I'm fascinated by the impact he has on the industry, and what he's going to do next. Because I do think
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
what he does in terms of payments with X, whatever he utilizes as his payment system, is going to be very interesting. And so I think if it's whether he brings out some sort of like whether he brings out his own token, or I really do like listening to Elon. And I think he has a big impact on the industry. Is he always beneficial?
And in general, in the whole world.
Yes, I just find him a fascinating person. So I also like to listen to people that I just genuinely respect. And I think people need to realize that. Like, if you met that person on the street or they were your friend, would you actually listen to them?
Yeah.
Like, people watch KOLs and they're thinking, yeah, he sounds like a great guy. Would you really trust giving him the money?
Same thing.
No. Would I trust giving Elon my money and letting him run away and do some stuff and do some investments? Yeah, I actually would. Would I trust some random KOL that's driving around in a Lamborghini with my money? No. That's how I see it.
I see it. What's the resources you can recommend for audience, like websites, YouTube channels?
Conferences are amazing. I do think you've really got to be careful of what you're trying to get out of the conference. Actually, listening to the speakers is always a wonderful thing. Networking, go around, don't talk to the booth, stop and listen, but actually just having conversations. Maybe reach out to people on LinkedIn before you've gone to the conference and decide who do you really want to talk to at that conference, because actually making the most of your time there is really important. So like, highlight key people you want to meet and go and see them. Like, make it happen, because they're there, you can talk to them.
Prepare to the conference.
Really prepare for what you want. And actually, on that point, I think LinkedIn is actually a really great source. One, because I think people aren't pushing as much on LinkedIn. So you actually can get a lot of informative videos. You can find out more about certain projects, who's their team, look up their structure on LinkedIn. I really do think that's quite a good platform to use. YouTube, obviously, tons of YouTube videos out there. So really trying to just, like, if someone's just sat there talking, they're not being paid to do it, they're actually giving you advice, they're the ones you really want to listen to. If it's a panel discussion that you can watch online from DevCon or Bitcoin conference, all of these conferences are also available online. If you want to educate yourself, why not watch the last conference that was available? What was the last thing that's happened in the industry? You can watch those speakers on stage and you can probably learn a lot from them. So things like that, like, go actually to the source rather than searching crypto and watching the first person that pops up.
Do you find it challenging to be a woman in crypto industry?
I like to think that when I started out in the industry, there definitely wasn't many women in the industry then. I probably booked quite a lot of jobs because of the fact that I was a woman. Would I say my knowledge was necessarily that great then? I would arguably say no. As I said before, like, I think I still had this very finance mindset. Now, I definitely think it's on merit, and it's what I've done, who people I've worked with, my knowledge, my impact that I have. So I think it actually opened a lot of doors when I started. So I'm never going to say that it wasn't a great industry to be very open to women, because it was. People were like, you want to work in the industry? We'll help you. Like, we'll book you jobs on stage. We'll do this. Like, people were very welcoming, cool. Very, very welcoming. So yeah, I really do think it is open. Sometimes the lifestyle isn't the best suited to women because there's a lot of events going on. It's very hectic. And I'm not saying women don't like events, but there's certain style of events, like, so I would argue that maybe men love going to like an after party and like crazy party networking events more so than most of my female friends. We'd probably happily do a coffee afternoon, or I don't know, do some like activity, something probably more suited, because I hated it when I worked in the finance world and people would be like, 5 o'clock, let's go for drinks. And I'm thinking, I don't really like the segregation. I do think the more events should just be, hey, let's all come together and do this, and let's try and get as much 50-50 as possible. I don't want to just have women's events and then they feel like there's men's events which some women can go to. I want it to be as open as possible. So I think we're going to see more and more women coming into the industry. Also the risk element.
How you can keep work-life balance? You mentioned a lot of events, a lot of parties in different countries.
It's hard, and people don't always understand how hectic it is. Like I was just in Bangkok, and I think there was something like 600 events happening over the week, which is just, you can't go to everything, of course, but it's hard then, because how do I have time even to communicate with friends or family? I'm away for a whole week. Next week I fly to Prague for 2 days for a conference. Then I'm in Abu Dhabi. Then I'm in Ras Al Khaimah, so I'm not around for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's difficult because
I think your work is a lifestyle.
yeah, my work at the moment is massively my life, but I really enjoy what I do. I love the people I get to meet. I have amazing people on the road that I hang out with. I'm gonna have hands held up sometimes when I'm at these events. I just hang out with my friends that work in the industry, but we don't even talk about crypto because we know we don't need to. Like, there's so much going on anyway. We can happily just sit down and have a chat about who we are as human beings. And I think, yeah, I have to do that a lot because it's just a lot happening and it's very hectic, and I'm trying to get a bit more of a balance. I'm not sure 2025 is going to be the best time to do that because I really do think it's going to be hectic. And then even then, when we hit a bear market, we're building and we're still working. So it's never going to be a lifestyle which is the norm and you get a weekend off. You're not going to have weekends off because, yeah, the markets are 24/7. Things are always happening. You're going to need to work as much as possible, but you got to love it.
Could you share some advice how to keep audience engaged?
When it comes to talking to audiences, I always imagine I'm sat in the audience. So what would I want to hear? That's the first thing I think about. 2, I realize that they've been there a long day. So like, you've got to talk about things that really are relatable to them as well. Where are you in the world? What will actually interest that audience? You've got to maybe target it to who's in your crowd. If it's a more corporate crowd, you maybe can't bring as much energy, but you still need to twist it and make yourself relatable to them. If I'm in a position where it feels a little bit more corporate, I can be more corporate. I can be put on that game face and be more of that part of the industry. If it's a more relaxed conference, I can give a bit more of my opinions. Yeah, I can be more chill. I can ask questions. I can banter with the audience. Yeah. I can be like, hold on, guys. Like, you're not even replying to me. What's going on? Like, have you not had your coffee? Go and grab a coffee and come back. So I can have that level of just a bit of comedy. So it's realizing that you need to add that and just be yourself. I think that's a really key thing. If you're on stage, people can tell if you're being genuine. So be your best version of yourself. So just add an extra, however you usually act, add an extra 20% of that. So like, just be a little bit extended version, but then you can keep it up. If you're presenting on stage for, say, you've got a 30-minute slot,
right,
you're probably not going to be able to keep up 100% extra energy level and being this additional person for 30 minutes. So just give it that extra 20%. So be yourself plus 20. So it doesn't mean you need the whole time to be going, guys, what do you think about this? Put your hands up for this. It doesn't work for 30 minutes.
How the industry can create opportunities to attract more people in the industry?
I think in terms of retail, it's all about making it simple. We have to think, again, put yourself in the situation of an everyday person that doesn't know too much about crypto. It has to be super simple. The world, sadly, is getting less and less amount of time they actually want to spend on learning, on doing anything. We want to flick through our phones. We want everything that doesn't work in 2 minutes. We're not really going to push to try and make it work. We kind of give up quite quickly now. Even I was trying to change my seat on an Emirates booking, and I'm thinking, oh, it's not working on the app. Screw it, I'll do it tomorrow. That's my mindset. Whereas I would argue that maybe 10 years ago, people were a bit more like, oh, it's not working on my phone. Maybe there's a glitch with the website. Maybe I need to go on my laptop and at least put some effort in. I didn't even think like that today. So that shows, case study, that people have less attention span. So we have to make things as simple as possible. We can't have glitches. We can't have issues. Can't have too many steps in the system. No one's doing it. If I'm someone in the industry and I can't be asked to do that, then the everyday person definitely cannot be asked to do that. So it's about simplifying things, and in my mind, utility. If people have a reason to get something, they will find a way to do it. If they start hearing they can buy stuff in Bitcoin, they're going to have way more of a reason to buy that because it benefits them. There's a reason to have it. Like, we always do things that works in our advantage. So I do think that as well, having good utility and actually showcasing how things can be used That's going to be good. So we give people reasons. In terms of getting people on board from other industries to want to be in crypto, I always like to say, if you're coming into this industry and thinking you can there's a role that you think needs to be filling, you'll probably have the wrong mindset. What are you really good at and what can you bring to the industry?
Exactly.
You don't want to fill a position that's already out there. Make your own position. There's probably loads of things that needs to be done in this industry that's not being done yet. And if that's what you're good at, do what you're good at. I realized that I was great at speaking and I'm great at bringing things to the real world and appreciating things from a different mindset. So that's kind of the part of the industry. And sometimes, people say, oh, so you just do media. And I'm like, yeah, okay, if that's how you want to see it. But it's not just that. I have my own position in this industry. And I really think that anyone out there that's thinking about getting into technology or whatever it is you want to get into, take your skill set. What are you truly good at and how can you add value? Don't just fill a position, actually create the positions.
How creators and entrepreneurs can use blockchain products and in general technology to better connect with audience?
I think there's so much that can be done. I think when we're looking at, say, like blockchain and Web3, the possibilities are endless. I think there's so much that you as a company can use Web3 and blockchain for, whether it's simple things like, ticketing, like it just makes smart contracts, things that could be really easy to put on chain need to go on chain. Voting. I really think that all voting should be put on chain because it's transparent, it's exact. We know how many votes exactly came in. There's nothing that can be tampered with. It is on a ledger. That is what happened. So I think anything which systems in business, whether you might have accounting systems, that could potentially be put on a blockchain. If you're sat there looking at your business thinking, this is a mess, is there a way that blockchain can make that less of a mess? And I'm not saying it's the gold standard answer for everything, but it could potentially be a new technique which you can use in your business. And then you've got the Web3 element and the whole making things more digital, which is another real big step up for brands. If you're thinking you're a brand that wants to be here in the next 20, 30 years, which if you're a founder, that's what you want, then you've got to accept that this is the future. And the future is Web3. The future will involve some form of metaverse. I know people are like, terrible word, don't talk about it. But it's this, and it's more of the more digital the world is becoming. So your brand needs to be more in a digital space. And that's going to involve Web3. It's going to involve blockchain. I don't think people want to be left behind. AI. AI is needed in blockchain. Blockchain can actually also help to accelerate AI and be used in the systems as well.
Yeah, it's going to be good synergy.
So perfect synergy. So I think then that links to businesses thinking about using AI. Are they going to need some blockchain in the background? And AI is, again, it's necessary in all businesses. So how are you going to use it? It's not, am I going to use AI? How am I going to use it?
Can you tell the funniest stories from your work?
Oh, I have a good one, actually. I was hosting the Bitcoin conference in Hong Kong and we had a moderator and I obviously announced the whole panel on stage, call the moderator. He's nowhere to be seen. So I'm thinking, gosh, now we've got the whole panel. What am I going to say? And they're like, looking at me going, he's in the toilet. And I'm thinking, oh, great, lovely. He's in the toilet. So then I'm like, you have to think on your feet. So I'm like, okay, guys, just found out our moderator needed a very short break. He will be back. So I'm going to start moderating this panel. I'm thinking, what am I going to say? And I sit down and luckily the panel is a really nice group of people. And I can't remember who was. And I said, oh yeah, I am Joe. For now, my name is Joe. I've adapted. I am now Joe for the next couple of minutes. And then so I start kicking it off. Everyone introduce yourself. Let us know. Then Joe appears, comes on stage, so we move over. Joe asks his first question to the first panelist, and the first panelist goes, I don't like this Joe. Can we get the other Joe back, please? And I was just behind stage laughing my head off. So that was like in the moment funny, which you just have to keep going.
It's really fun.
And you just have to keep talking. So like my job is just honestly, I'm going to have people in my ear telling me, keep talking. So at any point when someone's at a conference and I keep rambling, it's because someone's not ready or there's something going on backstage that needs to be changed. So it's like thinking on your toes. And then, of course, at the events in general, there's always lots of fun, silly things going on. And just, it's always just mind-blowing what's happening.
What are your personal insights and recommendation you give audience?
Let's start with recommendations. I would recommend that people take some time to figure out exactly what they want to get out of the industry, why they want to be in the industry and what they want to get out of it. If it's just financial gains, concentrate on that for now. That if that's your key thing and you're just wanting to invest a little bit of money to make a little bit of money, then that's your position. If you see more that you believe in technology, look more into that side of things. If you believe in AI, there's AI projects that are tokenized out there. You can be a part of it, and you're actually being a part of it because you are ultimately funding those projects. So you need to really understand what you ultimately want to get out of it. And what the best impact you can have in the industry. Is it your best impact can be putting liquidity in? Is it that you can work in the industry? You have to figure out what's the best way that it works for you. Who you enjoy listening to, because if you really are interested, you're going to want to listen to podcasts. You're going to wake up in the morning and look at media sources. What do you enjoy? Who has good? But always do your own research as well. Always check facts as well. There was a fact I had as a crypto lawyer here in Dubai, and I said to her, "Wow, it's great that now you can get paid in crypto here." And she was like, "That whole story was completely blown out of proportion. It isn't any salaries are actually being paid in crypto.
Exactly.
It's just that there's a small part that, if like a bonus, can now be given. If you were told you'd get that in crypto, that has to actually be fulfilled." And I was like, this is so different from what I saw. So I think you really need to do your research in terms of, that's a media source that I like, but is it necessarily correct? Or does it just give me the hot topics happening? And then I do additional research. Still interesting, but not as much as the title that I read. So I think that's really important. And then kind of like key insights is that this is the industry, this is the future. And I think that is my key insight, is the future is super bright. The future involves way more digitalization, which is going to involve crypto, it's going to involve AI, because the key thing about crypto is it is that digital layer. It is digital currency, it is blockchain, it is allowing people to transact in a digital world. So if we are moving into this Web3 or more digital environment, which is definitely happening, I have no doubt that that is to come. We are in a digital era. So we have to appreciate that crypto will be a big part of that. So if that's what you want to be involved in, which you should be, because if you see yourself in 20 years' time living in this more digital world, why not have it already? Why not get in as early as possible? And if you're questioning, am I too late? We're not even living in that digital world yet. So of course you're not late, because we're not even there yet. But once we're there, there's so much more to come. So I think it's the question is not whether we're there yet, it's where you see the world in 20 years.
It's a really high value recommendation and insight. So thanks you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. That was awesome. Thank you. A pleasure.